single day, regardless whatever it is that you're consistent in, that's what you're starting to become. If it's your health measures, if you're working, as my wife, when we was on a particular platform where we used to do some level of coaching, in her office, she had a wheel that showed like it had eight different quadrants, and it was like 12.5% of that, it was 1/8. And it showed the different, and she would, sometimes, and when I had those wonderful moments of maybe, piggy and ear hustle, she would ask people, it's like, okay, for this quadrant, at this section of your flywheel, where you think you at? Where you think you at over here? Or where you think you at over here? Because after a while, remember that whole circle, that whole flywheel equals 100. It's not like you're going to end up being 105, 130%. No, you're going to end up at 100. And it's not about looking for perfection. It's about recognizing, are you just learning stuff, or are you being transformed by what you're doing? Because you can be in a space that says, I'm just going to keep going to school, keep going to school. I'm going to keep going to school. I'm going to go to school, go to school, go to school. It's like, wait a minute, you're a professional student? That's your job title? Professional student? Okay, tell me what it is that you have applied in your respective life based upon what you've learned, so that you can start to see certain things be transformed to be added unto you. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go take another class. You're a professional student. And even after a while, which makes it kind of bad, is that education only going to take you but so far based upon how you apply it, how you're utilizing it. If you just scaffolding on top of scaffolding on top and there's no practical sense of movement, then you're going to be stuck in the problem. And the problem is not information, it is transformation. Are you being transformed? Are you willing to elevate and really position yourself in that anakinosis, as it says in Romans 2, becoming new in quality, not merely acquiring new information? Because I know Dr. Shaw and myself were having certain conversations with some of the people this early part of the evening. And one person was talking about, about books. And it's so true. We've become so digital, or we've become so much in a space, and it's not so much that libraries aren't needed. Libraries are still needed. Sometimes it's good to have that, physical book, or if you have your Kindle or whatever it is that you're able to read a PDF, if you have a reader, that's great. You're adding some value to yourself. But to say that, to have that book in your hand, to say, I'm going to get something from someone who has some level of expertise that I can glean from and apply some of this knowledge into what I'm doing right now so I can be transformed. That's the reason why you read. And we even got into the fact of the matter is, Bronx, New York, as we're part of New York City, has no bookstore. The one bookstore that they had that used to be in Bay Plaza is gone. And you sit there like, wow. We talk about food deserts. Do we have a book desert? Do we have a book desert where back in the day, and there used to be a terrible folly when they said, you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. Well, now that we recognize that there's great information in some of these books and some of this wisdom and some of the stuff that you can utilize and mix it with the technology at hand. Now we're not even touching books. There's no possibility for that anakinosis to happen. Because the transformation that needs to be occurring was like, wait a minute, okay, I'm adding some more fuel to my mind fire so I can produce something, produce a result. Not do the same old thing, but produce a result. And if I produce enough new results along with the quality of stuff that I'm doing previously, next, that's when you start to see that rule of 72 or compound interest starts to really work as a cycle for your life. Because now that brings us to the identity trap. A new strategy operating from an old identity will eventually produce old results. So I'm not sitting here saying that this person is a bad person or something, you're a bad individual, or you're bad this. But no, you could be bad in how you're operating. And I believe we said it, if it wasn't last week, it was definitely the week before last, but I know within the past 2 weeks, we talked about, say everyone's at Windows 11, but you're still in Windows 95. Now, Windows 95 was a good operating system in 1995, not in 2006 and 2026. Like, oh, I'm on Windows 11. Yeah, you should be on Windows 11. Nah, I'm kind of nervous. I may update to Windows 98. It's like, wait a minute, Microsoft doesn't even send out any patches for that. Windows 95 been retired. They don't even have updates for Windows 10. But that's what you're still working through? We need to think about that for a second. Is there anything, Miss Johnson? I know with you being a techie, what's showing up for you as I'm giving this share?
That learning for the sake of learning is actually damaging to you and your community because you're not actually applying or sharing the knowledge. You're basically becoming your own private library, and no one's allowed to take out any books. You're wasting time. So to learn without an outlet to share is actually polluting your mind in a way
Mm.
because it's sitting there and it's getting stale and you're not realizing you're getting stale. You're just proud that you're adding more books, not realizing that they're spilling out the back of your head and that knowledge is actually lost. And I'm complete.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Anybody else? Any thoughts by anybody else that want to chime in? It's your opportunity. What's showing up for you? Because we all should be moving to some level of anakinosis, that we're becoming renewed. It's the renewing of the mind. It's it's the ability to say, wait a minute, I'm pouring something fresh within me, and I'm not becoming an old wineskin. I'm not becoming that old wineskin. I'm new. I'm refreshed. I'm revitalized. There's a reason why I'm getting this information because now I'm only applying myself, but now I'm gonna turn around and start sharing it with others, which means I'm keeping it in conversation. That means I'm keeping it in communication. If I'm keeping it in communication, that means there's some sort of movement, there's some sort of flow happening. If there's a flow happening, that means not only are other people getting the opportunity to grasp it and keep it, but then you'll get to keep it as a sharer. And you're not stuck with this place saying, oh, I'm so smart. Oh, you can be so smart where you start to become dumb because you have no results to show from it of how smart you are. Did you grow in your social media? Did you grow in your marketing? Did you grow in your advertising? Did you grow in your learning capability and then turn around and share that with someone else? That's why I give my wife major props because in one particular, platform and area, as she was continuing to add more value, not taking a class at Stanford just to say she has Stanford on her resume. No, she went and decided to do something that was going to add some value because she knew that was going to force her to get out of her comfort zone. And there was an AI tool that was presented to her, and then she turned around and shared that information with her community. She could have kept it to herself or just say, oh, okay, I'm just going to talk to my husband about it. Yo, I heard about this and this, that, and the third. No, she turned around and like started sharing it to the respective community. Now that particular tool has become a major part of certain areas operating systems. But I know I can look back and give her the credit. I wouldn't say this, oh, Dr. Gregory Clarke found it. No, 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 no. She found that. Not so much she found it, she became aware of it and she was willing to share it with her community. That's that's where the transformation happened. See, she learned about something. That's great. Oh, that's cute. That's wonderful. Oh, you heard some tendencies or some capabilities and some capacities. That's excellent. But the transformation process came into play. Oh, by the way, they presented something to me that we wasn't really working in, and all of a sudden, as I started really working in it, and delving into it, and getting my feet wet in it, it's kind of an interesting platform. What would happen if we started adding this as not so much as a replacement, but as an addendum. That was anakinosis. She presented something that was new in quality, and it wasn't just information. It became applicability. It became applicable for us to be able to say, okay, let's try this thing out. And all of a sudden, as we started to see this thing morph and develop and grow and expand and this and that, it's like, wow. But I know in the back of my mind, oh, the reason why this is happening is because of her. And sometimes we have to be very, very aware of giving credit to those around you when they present you an aha moment. There's times when, Nicole will have a question with us or we'll have a conversation with her and all of a sudden she'll hit and she doesn't recognize it, but sometimes she hit us with an aha moment. And it's like, that's a good thing. It's good to hear a different perspective. It's good sometimes to be checked, not from a space that, oh my God, I'm going to tell you what to do. No, no, no. Checking means, as Dr. Cheryl alluded to when we just left that meeting, when you can give feedback that you're allowing yourself to be well-rounded around, even if it's something that you may not necessarily like, you start to recognize it's beneficial for you. It's part of the medicine to make you well. Don't push them. Oh, you know what I'm saying? They're presenting you some medicine that can make you well. No, 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 don't give me the medicine. You just stay over there and you just be quiet. You know how dumb you look? That person is attempting to give you some medicine to say, here, you need to hear this. Or you could tweak this, or you can do this, and whatever it is. And you're going to push the possibility away? I know my wife hates the word stupid, but it is. That's very stupid. That's dumb, from the movie Night at the Museum. Dumb. You dumb. But we're going to move on. So please don't be a dumb. The frequency principle and the entrepreneurial ledger. Mr. Sampson, if you can read that small paragraph for us, please.
Every entrepreneur operates from a dominant mental frequency, shaped by conversations, media, relationships, and internal dialogue.
See, the person that you are becoming, that's why we had to focus on the being. And you say, Dr. Clarke, you have to deal with financial literacy on this platform. I say, yes, we do. You deal with ontological spaces, which I've already broke down, simply means the way and the study of being. See, your beingness is so important because it gets influenced, there's stuff that gets presented to us left, right, and center that could either enhance us or be in a space where it could be potentially detrimental. And you're like, why would you say that, Dr. Clarke? Because depending upon where your dominant mental frequency is, all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, everything is negative. There's no positivity. The mind is already a meaning-making machine. And wait a minute, the only thing that you're feeding it is stuff that can be inherently negative, and you're not at least positioning yourself to have some space where it can expand with some positivity, have some mixture, maybe have a practical thought in there, have areas where, there can be some form of debate. It's not just one side. It's not just that side or the other side. It's like, wait a minute, okay, let's look at it. Let's critically think. Let's deduce. Let's use deductive reasoning. And that's going to be shaped by the conversations that you have, the media that you allow to utilize. Remember, as much as that we can say the media is this and the media is that, you're choosing. Your choosing power is allowing yourself to say, I'm going to hear this, and they keep saying this, and they keep saying this, and then all of a sudden that's shaping your conversations, which can somehow affect your relationships. Because even in that same meeting that myself and Dr. Cheryl were a part of, we was having like some candid thoughts, and there were people of other communities in the room, and we were being very explicit during some of those, not being disrespectful, but being very explicit. It's like, we're recognizing, we're serving Black and brown communities. I mean, it's great that, some other communities are in the room, but we're being upfront and real with y'all in your faces. Be like, yo, we're servicing, communities that were underserved, some and many times disrespected, and many times not the right resources were coordinated for them. Now here we come, not just only say myself and Dr. Cheryl, but now here we come as different pockets and different entities who look like some of these same people say, yo, now we're willing to get back. We're willing to be in a space like, wait a minute, what we can play our part. Not saying we're going to be the end all be all and we're the best thing since sliced bread. Never get too fully yourself, because that means now you're not moving at least in a space of humility. But when you're in that space of saying, wait a minute, no, we're here to impact the Jerusalem that we're called to. And when you recognize that and respect that, then you can stand in those rooms and be like, yeah, I respect the fact that you're here to assist me, but I'm not called to you. I'm called to them. I'm called to young men, as Dr. Cheryl, she's called to young ladies, or, whatever it is that you're working on. You're called to that. Even if you don't feel it's a calling, but you're called to it. Now you're going to make a choice to either make that thing happen or it doesn't happen. But if you don't do it, believe you me, the universe is wise enough to say, wait a minute, I know how to plant that thought over here. And all of a sudden that person starts to implement, and you start saying, hey, didn't I have that thought? Yeah, you did. You did nothing with it. So manage your attention. High-performing leaders manage more than finances. They manage attention. Where your attention goes, your power flows. I'll say it again. Where your attention goes, your power flows. So if you give your attention to junk, that's what you amplify. If you give your attention to things that's going to continue to build you, even if you don't like it or not, all of a sudden you start to recognize 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, like, wow, I've really grown. Well, I can see the progress in our finances. I can see the progress in my business. I can see the progress of what I'm connecting to in the marketplace. That's all focus. It's what you're giving your attention to. Amplify what you account for. The realities you repeatedly account for become the realities you amplify. Goes back to what I started saying about managing attention. If you think that your reality is small and you keep saying, as we talked about the I am statements last week, if you start adding to the I am things that could be considered detrimental, and you're wondering why stuff is still falling apart around you, it's not that you are a bad person. You are just speaking the wrong crap. And that crap keeps bubbling back up. It keeps building back up. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I got rid of this. Wait a minute, but you keep saying this. You keep emanating. You keep being this. So, of course, this is what you're going to continue to be. Stop being those things that are considered detrimental, and all of a sudden you start enhancing the things that you could be a desire, could be a great thing, could be an amplification. Now, all of a sudden, those things start getting attracted towards you, and you start to see a different result. So, amplify what you account for. And the leadership question. Are your inputs building vision and expansion or reinforcing scarcity and doubt? Because too many times we can project out certain things that you're just starting to amplify what's already in you. And that's why I keep prefacing when I'm expressing this about this frequency principle. It's not that you're a bad person. Please get this out of your mind. Oh my God, that person must be just a bad individual. It must be just such a negative Nancy. And just no, it's just their outlook, their mindset, what they keep giving attention to, how they're speaking, how they're setting up their environments, how they're recognizing, wait a minute, something needs to evolve. Not just say, oh, I got to change the way I be. No, it's not about changing the way you be. Evolve, grow. Stop talking about changing. Be. Be it. Being. Be it. If you know that you desire to be the best speaker and the best author and the best whatever, be it. Don't think about it, be it. Because as you continue to work at it, believe you me, it will manifest. You will manifest what your thoughts are percolating up in your mind. And you say your brain. Your brain is the muscles. That's the physical form. I'm talking about your mind. You have to be very mindful what you are speaking out of your mind, because you may not even recognize that you're speaking crap out of your mind, and you're trying to sit there and say, well, you should just understand. That's just stop speaking crap out of your mind. Now we have to work on mindset, setting up your mind so it can win. That's what mindset is. People can have a poor mindset. Someone can have an affluent mindset. The only difference is the preface word before mindset. Mindset didn't do anything. Do you have a poor mindset? Do you have an affluent one? Your choice. Comeback renewal framework, a 5-step process for identity expansion. Dr. Cheryl, can you read the first one?
Sure. Awareness, identity, recurring mental patterns.
Amen. What would you say to that as a psychotherapist? Why is awareness so important when it comes to your expanding your identity?
Because if you're not aware, you don't know how you show up. There's a lot of times we do the same thing over and over and over again, and we may not know how we show up. And just for awareness, and what you were talking about in the last couple of slides, I don't think a lot of people may realize what they're missing out because it never was shown. So when you bring in awareness, and it's really about you asking questions and being curious. And a lot of our curiosity that I talked about today is that we stop raising our hands asking questions, and we don't really inquire about how to expound more about how we can do these things. And I think this is where this comeback community comes in, and in collaboration of being aware of things I don't know. You don't know until you know. So then you're going to do what you do with that knowledge is what you do after. So I'm complete.
Thank you. Replacement. Install a more empowering narrative. You have to change the narrative. There are times when you can be walking around in the same narrative about something, and unless you allow yourself to evolve from it, not saying that you can't change what previously happened, because you cannot. What previously happened is what happened. Now, what can I do with that going forward? That's where the transformation happens. Stuff can get under your skin and be like, yeah, that stuff got under my skin, but I'm not moving in the way that I used to move when even that thing got under my skin. Because now you're allowing yourself that opportunity for evolution to work. So that takes daily work. That's not something you snap your fingers and say, oh, I had a narrative like this, so now tomorrow I have a narrative like that, and you're done. It doesn't work that way. Repetitious work takes time. You have to be, and that moves to the next one, repetition. Reinforce the new narrative consistently. Are you willing to hold a thought? As Dr. Cheryl was sharing some of the tools that I have in my book, Life in the Huddle, today with some of those great young ladies. Are you willing to hold it? Because if you hold it, now you are moving in a space of awareness. Are you willing to get it? Now, get it means maybe I may have to do extra laps in my mindset. And am I willing to close it? Am I willing to reinforce it, which is the fourth one? Am I willing to reinforce? Create those environments that support growth, which ultimately leads to the last one. We will get to the fifth one. But when you're creating those environments that support growth, sometimes you even have to look at your physical atmosphere. It's like, wait a minute, is my physical atmosphere conducive for me to be in a space where I'm aware of what I may have done, and now I'm creating new, powerful, recurring mental patterns that I have to be consistent in, because now I'm replacing all the old crap and putting in right stuff. And even the right stuff is going to take time for that to germinate. Because remember, you've been dealing with crap for a long time. And then now that you're replacing it, now I got to be repetitive of it. No, I got to wake up. I got to wake up these days. I got to speak light to myself, and I got to be consistent in some of these areas that needs my consistency. Okay, now I'm being repetitive, and in my repetition, I'm being reinforced. Now all of a sudden, new habits, new lifestyles are being generated, a new mindset, a new outlook, a new outpicturing is happening. Which leads us to the final one, which is transformation. Allow for consistency to compound over time. That's how transformation works. The anachronosis. How are you going? Wait a minute. That's what consistency is about. Consistency and transformation work hand in hand. If you get anything from when you think about it, if you get anything of anything, consistency and transformation work hand in hand. Because sometimes you can see someone on social media post their before and after picture. I may have been whatever pounds, and then Dr. Cheryl keeps getting on me about that. She's like, Doc Clarke, you're like 400. Well, she didn't even realize, like, yeah, at one point I was like 420 pounds. Now I'm in the 250s. And looking to get even lower, not to get skinny. I desire not to be maga, but to be healthy. And to have enough of a lifestyle that's going to allow for certain things to manifest themselves appropriately and competently. And so when you think about it, you start to recognize, where's the transformation happening? Where's the transformation happening? What are you consistent in so that you can start to see that there's a transformation happening? And this framework is very easy. It's very, how's the best way to say it? It forces us to look at our being. Who are we being? Who am I being? Because see, now we flipped it. It's not I am. Now, who am I being? Am I being transformed? Am I reinforcing the right stuff? Am I being repetitious in certain things? Am I replacing the stuff that needs to be replaced? And am I aware? Now you're asking those very quality questions to yourself to say, wait a minute. I desire for this result. Now, what am I willing to do? Or what do I know I have to do to get to that result? And most times, you can't be the person that you are right now. Unfortunately, you cannot. Cheryl Clarke that I met when she was 14 going on 15 years old is not the person that she is now at her age. She has evolved. The same way a Mr. Sampson or Mr. Richards or Mr. Franklin or even a Miss Johnson. No. When I first had our first initial interactions to now, you had to have evolved. Because none of us would still have some level of web connection if there wasn't at least a possibility if there was something, there's been some evolution through this thing. There has been. Now it's about, okay, let's continue the process. Let's stay consistent in these efforts because it's about the consistency. You can't sit there and say, oh, I'm going to get healthier, healthy, and then turn around and say, oh, I'm just going to throw all this junk in my body and wonder why I feel sluggish. What are you doing? Why would you kill your consistency? What happened? Okay, what happened in this moment that is messing with your transformation? Because even transformation is meant to be uncomfortable. Transformation is not meant to be easy. Transformation is not something, I can transform one day, I'm going to be untransformed tomorrow. No, that doesn't work that way. That means you're resetting yourself up to go back to zero. It's like, wait a minute, you have progress to you're somewhere around 25, 26. Why are you setting yourself up to go back to zero? Something to think about. Framework works if you work it. Audit your mental environment. Content diet. Is it producing confidence or anxiety? Innovation or fear? You can make that choice. I'm just presenting you the possibility. I'm not going to say, oh, if you have that thought, that means you're confident. Or if you have that thought, you're anxiety. You should know within yourself. If you're being real with yourself, and this is where they sometimes say, are you truly being real with yourself? Because if you're not being real with yourself, you can talk yourself out of a space and be like, yeah, I mean, and just, mm, mm. Are you producing confidence, or are you making stuff more anxious around you? Are you moving into innovative possibilities, or are you stuck in fear saying that I'm gonna still be in what was yesteryear? Your relationships, are they producing expansion or contraction? Accountability or excuses? This is very, very important. Because sometimes we can sit there and say, I love that person. Is that person helping you to expand? Or are they contracting you? Can you be held to a space of accountability? Can they be held to a space of accountability? Or is everything is just, well, I'm going to tell you the reason why this happened, this, there, and the third, because, and it's like, okay, going down the excuse train again. You're going down an excuse train again. And it doesn't build life. It doesn't build expansion. Because the best excuse is some of the worst things to have. I have the best excuse to the reason why I wasn't successful today. And you give the excuse, and in your mind, you start to attempt to catalyze that in your mind and sit there and be like, yeah, that's the reason why I wasn't able to do that. And the more and more you keep saying that, the more and more your mind is going to start creating those synapses and start to create those connections to make that thing right. And the only person you're hindering is yourself. That leads to the last one, self-talk. Is it producing leadership, ownership, and resiliency? Is it? I know there's plenty of days I sit and talk to myself. I have no problem saying that. I'm proud of that. Sit there and ooh. And then some of the thoughts that's in my head, I need to bounce that off of someone else, or at least just to hear a counteractive. But if you're not speaking life unto yourself, to see in the good scripture, in the good book itself, it says, physician, heal thyself. And you start thinking like, wait a minute, I'm not a physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm talking about a medical doctor. Wait a minute, how could a physician heal thyself? What are you talking about? That's self-talk. What are the words that you're creating the atmosphere around you? You are creating your world. Are you creating a great world, or are you creating a world of excuses? Are you creating a world where it's easy for me to play small? Is it creating a world where I'm afraid to jump into that space where I may fail or fall? Is that desire for people not to see me in this particular space? Well, do you truly desire to be successful? Or would you like a comfortable life? So your breakthrough may require changing your inputs before changing your outcomes. Think about it. What are you inputting? Because your inputs are screwed up, your outcomes are going to come up real mucky. It is what it is. It's not what it's not. So what are you choosing for this day? What are you choosing each and every day? In the comeback practice challenge and your final declaration as we start to bring this to a close. For the next 7 days, observe, replace, reinforce, and execute one action aligned with your future identity. I'm going to ask Ms. Johnson, can you read Declaration 1, please?
Declaration 1. I am developing the consciousness required for greater results.
Excellent. Dr. Cheryl, can you please read Declaration number 2?
I am strengthening my thinking, expanding my capacity, and becoming the leader my next season requires.
Your comeback is not waiting on more information. It is waiting on the daily practices that transform information into identity and identity into impact. See, every single day we have the opportunity to choose our day. It's not about that you don't have the right information. It's not about that you don't have access to things. It's not about that someone put a duppy on you, or someone put roots on you, or someone did this and so on. Stop and look. Because see, all of that is still a generative space of how you are processing information and turning that into identity. And then you keep practicing those things that could be considered self-limiting, detrimental, positioning you as small, positioning you as bad, positioning you as dumb, positioning you as stupid. It's like, wait a minute, why are you doing that? And what makes it even worse, which makes the even worse excuse, you start projecting that outside of you. And it's like, wait a minute. You said that, and then you said it outwardly, and then you put it on the other person, say, well, because that's just no, 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 and no. We're not allowing you to get away with that. This is ultimately your movement, your thinking, your this. Now, if you're willing to own it so you can clean it up, okay. Now, if we clean it up properly, you're going to end up being extremely powerful in anything that you put your mind to, whatsoever you put your mind to. You can end up manifesting it accordingly. But what is it that you're putting your mind to? So with that being said, we are complete. Any thoughts from anyone before we start to bring this train back into Grand Central Station? Or as they're building a new Penn Station. It's going to be beautiful. Penn Station down there at 34th Street. How they reimagine it's going to be nice. Right across from the world champion New York Knicks. Any thoughts? Anything that came up for anyone before we bring this space to a close? Oh, I see
Yes,
Mr.
my brother. Yes. You just
Sampson.
left a lot of things for thought. A lot of things were shared in the short number of slides, but each slide had a high volume of information. Everything had a trigger. Trying to think of some of the highlights. I know one thing that came to me was that sometimes people aren't aware of themselves.
Hmm.
They don't know how they're perceived or who they are. They only know what they know, and they may feel that they're, you know, in a certain level or a certain place, but having communication with others, not so much for validation or for criticism, but just having conversation sometimes can enable you to get a better understanding of how you're viewed, you know, or received, or your way of being just by the conversation itself. But you skirted across a lot of valuable information that made me realize that there's a lot of deeper psychological concerns. The importance of your environment was definitely key. If you're the kind of person that can't operate in the clutter, then you definitely need to clean up that clutter. Um, Now, as far as dealing with people in your environment, there's some people you can remove from your environment, and there's others that you can't. Such as family. There's certain, your children and your family that you have to deal with. Um, they may not receive your way of being, or your way of being may move at a different frequency than what they're experiencing. So I was having thoughts and questions about um, how do you move through that, even though I know we create our own environment, but there's certain things that we have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? We can't throw away everybody. We can't move away from everyone that may not be adding to us. So we kind of have to deal with them. But it that was something Jalen Brunson showed me when he was getting so many bad calls put upon him. He showed his discontent for about 2 minutes, and then he went back to work. He stayed focused. And that thing woke me up, because anyone else would have kept arguing, kept complaining, kept going after the ref, but he toned it down. He went back to work. He turned it off and he went back to work. And it made me realize that some things aren't worth arguing over. And at the end of the day, your performance speaks louder than your protest. So I'm gonna stop at that point. But like I said, there was a lot. There was a lot I would like to review. I'm gonna revisit it once you post it, and get through some of that work. And if I have any major questions, I'll definitely reach out to you. I'm complete.
Well, especially since we're here tonight, and those who took it upon themselves to join us live. Let's see. Andrew, give me 1 second, but see if I can upload something real quick. Here. Great, did it upload? Let's see. If it's recent. Don't mind me, people who are watching us. I'm attempting to add something for the people who are here.
Dr. Clark, can I share why you're uploading something?
Please, please.
All right, so I have slight pushback from Mr. Sampson, who said, your family, you love them, you can't leave them. Second Epistle of Thessalonians, withdraw yourself from every brother that walketh disorderly. I can love you from afar, Moses, everybody, love everybody, but sometimes I gotta pray you away. I can pray for your greatness. I can pray for your happiness, pray for your growth. Maybe not in my same exact direction, but growth in general. But sometimes we have to separate. Now, for comments about the teaching, I forget which part it was, where it was like, you got to do the work, you got to look at what you're doing, and the image of a tree came up. And I can kind of relate it to sometimes my vibe coding. I'm like, you know what? I want this thing. I want to make it better. So I'm doing it, fertilizing the tree, trimming the tree, bringing in experts. And I'm like, this is going to be the greatest treat ever. And I'm like, but I did all this work and I'm getting oranges. And I'm like, let me go back, reread the reports, do the work. I'm still getting oranges. But I forgot to look up and see, wait a minute, th th this is a pear tree. So I've done all this work and forgot to look up at what the true end result of all the hard work I'm doing. So a lot of times we're improving, but not checking in to make sure that we're improving the right thing or doing the worthy thing. So every once in a while, check in with yourself, check in with your friend, check in with the people that are truly on your same mindset and are on the same path, and make sure you're improving not for the heck of it, but for what you actually need or want. And I'm complete.
Excellent, excellent. I appreciate that. Okay, since you wouldn't allow me to do it from that end.
Dr. Clarke.
Go ahead, Mr. Richards. Let's hear what you have to add.
Yeah, Dr. Clarke, I'm hearing your story tonight. And the counsel that you're giving is excellent. And then you look at, let's say, a relay race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're placed, like, let's say, in the 200 meter race. Everybody has a block. And the block look like you're behind the other person, but actually it's the same length that you have to run. But when you look at it, it's like you take the last, let's say the last block, which let's say the 8th lane, but it's the same 200 meters you're running. But it look like you're behind everybody. The one who up in front, you look like he's far away and ahead. And you look at a game at like the New York Knicks. They were behind. The 20s. They didn't have no time out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't take no time out. But the chip away tree, hitting trees, when you look, come down to 12, come down to 2 digit, come down to 1 digit. And then when you look there, they end up like winning the white name, the game, because why? It was the same block, the same 200 meters everybody had to run, but there was no time of giving. But at the same time, your concentration was the end results, in the 200 meters. Because even though you are in a different block, but it's the end result is what counts. And I'm complete.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I don't know why it's excellent, but I'll say this. I was attempting to, I was going to put some in the chat. I was going to put the PDF of the PowerPoint slide, but what I'm going to do is that after I get off, everyone who is here tonight will get the PDF for of the teaching of the PowerPoint presentation. So if you need to go back through it, things of that nature, because you were here. You were here. And so with respect of time, which I desire to be, these are the ways that you can support the Comeback Collective Circle. You can do it via Cash App at Gregory Clarke D-Men, or you can do it via Venmo, which will be at the same handle without the $. And of course, if you choose to do it via Zelle or PayPal, it's the same email address, esquire971@gmail.com. And with that being said, as always, as we complete this arc on being, it's starting to move towards the fact that probably in another week or so, I'll be on a cruise ship. So I might take that week off, since we'll be on the high seas, probably getting someplace closer to where Mr. William Richards is from. And, we shall see. We shall see. I might take that week off. So definitely we'll be here next week, but probably the following week after that, I'll be a little respite, as we'll be on a nice little ship in the middle of the Caribbean, enjoying hopefully some good old great sun, which it probably definitely will be. So until next time, when we join back again at the Comeback Collective Circle, once again, I invite you to become a part the email list by going and visit CoachClarkeDmen.com today. And at the same time, you can allow yourself to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel. Yes, this particular channel. And that is at Dr. Gregory Clarke Master Coach, the @ or if you type in Gregory Clarke D Men Master Coach, that should populate up. And we would love for you to not only catch these episodes, but all the previous stuff. Since January, we've been dropping some gems. And it's all about making sure that our community has access. So if you're willing to invest the time, what you're willing to input into yourself, you can start to generate some tremendous and excellent outputs. So once again, my name is Prophet Dr. Gregory Clarke Sr. And until next week, when we hang out again, you be blessed. You continue to move towards an affluent space and continue to manifest your own being positively and correctly. Have a great week ahead.
Good night, everyone. God bless.
Blessings.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.